Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm back now. So I have a story to share with you about something that happened to me a few years ago. As you can see from the title of the video, I named it How I Almost Lost My Future Babies. It's a bit dramatic, I know, but literally that's how, when I think about it, it's one of the things that kind of stand out from the story. So what happened is, it was in 2019 March, first week of March. I remember we had a gathering at church, and I remember as we were worshiping and praying, like the song that kept like popping up in my head was like by Aaron Shust. It's called Your Praise Will Ever Be on My Lips, and it was my first time hearing the song, but for some reason it just kept playing in my head. Like, I know it happens when a song just keeps playing in your head, but that was just a bit too much for me and a little bit uncomfortable, in the sense that there was just like an overwhelming sense of like God's Spirit, even as like of the Holy Spirit, as I just went about my week. And I was like, okay guys, I know I'm a child of God, but there's a bit weird what's going on. But I was just like, what, let's see how it plays out. And then I just continued about like my life. So we get to Sunday, and on Sunday I start like having this cramps on my like lower abdomen, and I'm like, this cannot be like period cramps, like the timing is just off, like what is going on? And then I was just like, what, maybe these cramps have a mind of their own. I mean, life goes on. And then on Monday I went to work. I was doing my internship that year. I went to work, and like the pain kept like increasing bed by bed. And I remember asking one of my coworkers for like some painkillers, and she gave me, and then I think I felt a little bit better, and Monday was fine. And then came Tuesday. Tuesday was a lot more hectic, and she gave me something stronger because paracetamols were just not working anymore. And yeah, and at this point I'm like, okay, this is not normal. Like, what is going on? Like, I'm not one to have cramps in the first place, so this is like very weird. And then I'm like, what, I'll be fine. And then I went home. I remember Tuesday evening was really hard for me. Like, even like the tiniest of movements was now becoming uncomfortable. And then I went to bed early that day, and I woke up like odd hours of the night, of the morning. And like I struggled, like, even when you move in bed when you want to wake up, or like whatever movement you make when you're sleeping, like I could feel it to the bone. And like I had to be like, okay, this is not it, like something is wrong. I remember waking up Tuesday morning eventually, by waking up I mean getting out of bed. I was up a lot earlier, probably around 3. And I texted my friend who stayed in the same, because I stayed in a student accommodation, and be like, hey friend, can you like let's chat, like I'm not okay. And then like my friend booked like an appointment with my doctor for 9 o'clock that day. And I remember sending an email to my boss at the time. I'm like, I'm not feeling well and I need to see the doctor. I'm not coming into work today, which was fine. I didn't even wait for a feedback, like see what he was gonna say, because I knew like, okay, whatever is going on, I need to see the doctor as soon as possible. And I got into an Uber, and then I went there. Even getting out of the Uber to like the entrance of the, what do you call it, of the place was so hard. But I was like, okay, cool. And then I waited there. Eventually my turn came, and then I went in to see my doctor. She's like, okay, Tracy, hi, what's up, what's going on? I'm like, go, or I didn't say it like that. But I was like, I am in pain, especially the right side of my lower abdomen. It's like someone is stabbing me with something. The pain is just so intense. She's like, okay, cool, let's go into the examination room. And then I went there, and then she started doing this on my lower abdomen. Boy, that was it. The pain just shot from 10 to 150, just like that. I mean, it's like the more she massaged my lower abdomen, doing doctor stuff, the more I just became a lot worse. And at this point I'm crying. I'm like, I cannot, like the pain is just too much. And she said she thinks it's like an appendix, like my appendix could have ruptured or is about to rupture or something like that. I'm like, oops, that sounds scary and not good. And she's like, yep, it's not good. So I'm going to book, what you call this, like schedule or book. What's the word? Or she sent me to like a hospital, like a big hospital with the facilities and whatever, because she said I needed to have like an op as soon as possible. So I needed to see first like a specialist. What do you call a specialist who deals with appendices? Do you call them appendices if they're a lot, or appendix? I don't know. But yeah, she like called the guy and be like, okay, I have a patient here. She's in serious trouble. Booked an appointment with him. And so now I had to book an ambulance to go there, because at this point I really could not walk. Even speaking was such a mission, and everything just happened so fast, guys. This time it's around like 10:30 in the morning. Remember, I went at 9, and in like an hour or just above an hour, things had just spiraled out of control. And at this point I'm like, I need to tell my family. I'm in a foreign country, like no one knows things have gotten this bad. And then I remember just sending my sister an audio, because I couldn't type. I didn't have the energy to type. Even speaking the audio, it was such a mission, but I tried. I was like, hi sis, how are you? So I'm at the hospital now. Apparently I have some issues with my appendix. I can't speak, I'm struggling. So now I'm going to the hospital to get it checked and most likely get a surgery. And then I just told you, like, a friend of mine will contact you with further details, because I can't speak, I'm really struggling. And then I just sent the audio, and my doctor's like, okay, so now you need to like book an ambulance. I'm like, okay, how does the procedure work? She's like, you need to pay. She tells me this like crazy amount, and I use medical aid, so like going to a doctor wasn't a problem or a mission, because it was that my medical aid covered that. And then she tells me this. I'm like, does my medical aid cover? She's like, nope. I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm an intern, guys. I wasn't earning like bucks to afford that. And then I remembered that a friend of mine actually stayed close to where I was. So I called him and I was like, girl, are you home? If you're home, can you please drop me, like go with me to the hospital, because this is what's happening. I tried to explain as much as I can. And I think my doctor ended up actually just speaking to her, because I really couldn't like speak for long, because it was painful. You know, when you speak, you use muscles, and you take it for granted, guys, being able to just speak without feeling anything. It's such a blessing. At that point, speaking was like a mission, And then for some reason, she was at home that day, and I just think it was really the Lord. She was at home that day, and she ended up going to my house to get like my ID, my passport and stuff, since that was needed at the hospital. And then she came, and then she picked me up, and by this point, like I said, I couldn't walk, so they had to put me in a wheelchair, like gently, and then I went out into a car, and she drove so slow, because every little bump on the road, I would feel it like down to my bone. So she drove so slowly, and she called my other friend to also tell her, like, go Tracy, things are happening, if you can come and like let's help you and through this, because my family at this point, I don't know, my sister probably responded, but I wasn't handling my phone anymore, so I don't know what was going on. Aside from what she has told me, when she got the message, she was losing her mind, like, what is going on? And like freaking out and everything because of the way I sounded and what I said to her. And so, and then I got to the hospital, to the reception. We got like a wheelchair for me to go in. We got there, and then we sat at the reception while they processed like my papers and stuff. And at this point, guys, there were a lot of people in the reception, and there was a TV there. I think like rugby or cricket or something, people were watching in the reception, and I'm trying to act cool because people just looked sophisticated in that reception. And it got to a point where I was like, guys, I cannot. And then I just started crying. Everyone is looking at me. I'm like, guys, it's a hospital. People who come here are sick and are in pain. So I just started crying, and my two friends, they're just sitting next to me. They're kneeling actually next to me. They're just like, rubbing my arms, and they started praying for me. And at this point, we just looked like a weird bunch. 3 people. One is crying in a wheelchair, and the other 2 girls are praying for it. Oh my goodness. And then eventually one of the nurses came to like take me away, and then I went into like yeah, I got admitted basically into the hospital, and then I sat on my bed for a few minutes whilst they set up whatever, and then they changed me into like, you know, those hospital gowns. And then I went to do a scan. No, the guy, the doctor, what was his name? Something. Stradom, yes. Yeah, he came, and then he like, okay, you know, did a bit of that massaging lower abdomen. Oh, it was painful. I'm just like, guys, can you just stop? Don't you understand? I'm in pain. I cannot take this. And then eventually he like sent me for a scan to just like see exactly, you know, what's going on with this appendix. And then I went there. You know, I don't know what that machine is called, the big one, the one that looks like a coffin where you go in and then they do the whole scan thing, that one. I went in there, they did their things, I came out, and then apparently my appendix was fine. And then at this point I'm like, okay, so what is wrong? And then the doctor, the appendix guy, is like, actually, you know what, you should go for an ultrasound, and then I'm going to, yeah, and I'm going, your whatever results are going to come out, we're going to send them to like our gynecologist, so you know they can do the thing. And then I went for an ultrasound, and then they did, you know, put that code stuff, and then, you know, like what they do to pregnant people, I think, yeah, something like that. They did that, and then I had to sit for, it felt like forever. I don't think it was actually that long, but maybe because of the pain that I was going through, it felt like I sat there forever. And then, yeah, like the results came out, and they, you know, when the doctors come and the nurses, they come with the results, and they have these faces like you can't read their expressions. You actually don't know, are they bringing good news, bad news? But you're just like, okay guys, hints. And then by this time I was back like in my hospital bed, and then I don't remember. Yeah, and then they're like, okay, so it turns out your ovaries have overturned and like twisted each other. You know how ovaries are like small little things on the side like this? Apparently they'd done something like that. How in the world does something like that happen? It's not like they're busy dancing, you know, moves, break dancing and all that, and then somehow they ended up getting twisted. And I'm thinking, it just did not make sense to me. Well, I'm not a biology person or whatever, but the more I think about it, even now I'm just like, guys, I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Apparently they said it's not something that happened, but it does happen. And yeah, they said so now they were like, the weight was too much and it was causing the pain and stuff, and they had to do like a surgery as soon as possible. And I'm asking like, okay, so what do you have to do exactly? And this guy's telling me, so unfortunately we have to snip them, we have to cut them off. I'm like, remind me again, isn't like ovaries what you need to have babies? Like, you know, the eggs are stored in there. So when you say you want to cut them, what do you mean? They like explained the whole biology aspect of it. And they said, well, yeah, that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to cut them off to save your life. And at this point they have like, you know, they came with like a form, a consent form. Yes, that's the name, that I had to sign off. Like I had to sign off my ovaries, my future babies away. And then at this point I'm just like, Lord, I did not sign up for this. Like, what is going on? At this point I take the pen and then I sign off, and tears are just running down my face. I'm like, what is going on? The pain is, at this point the pain is just crazy, and the emotional toll it was taking on me. And my friend was like communicating with my sister, and my sister, from where she was also like going crazy and crying and be like, what is going on? And I'm just like, Lord, I don't know. But you know, one thing that's interesting, when this whole thing was happening, I must say, like, in as much as like everything was just upside down, there was a like an overwhelming sense of peace deep in my heart. And like it makes sense now that I look back and I understand why. Even remember what I said in the beginning, how there was just like an overwhelming sense of like the Holy Spirit. Even the song that was stuck in my head, like, your praise will ever be on my lips. It's just like, in that space the peace of God was just there. It was like still waters, and above there was just all these crazy things going on. So like, I was in pain, but I was not in despair. I can't explain it. I really cannot. It's Yeah, but there was something there and I couldn't shake it off. And I was just like, Lord, I know you're with me. This is hard. This is painful. I do not understand what's going on, but I know you are with me. And then I remember signing off those papers and them booking like a surgery for me for like that day at 7 p.m. All this is happening in one day, guys. From not going to work, from an appendix, now ovaries, now being all this is happening in one day. I'm like, wow, if someone had told me last week that this is how my Wednesday was going to play out, I would not have believed them at all. And yeah, and another thing, when all the scans were happening, my medical aid came through by the grace of God. Like, I'm so thankful. Like, all those scans and everything, like, I didn't have to pay a dime. They like sorted it all out. Like, they approved of everything, which was great. It was such a blessing. And I'm scheduled for 7 o'clock. And then, okay, this is 4 or 5 o'clock now, I think. Like, okay, I'm sitting there and I was put in a ward. It was a private ward with like, I think 2 other like ladies. I'm in the room, that is 2 or 3, I don't remember. And they're all talking about, you know, why they are there and everything. And I'm just staring at them. I'm like, well, I don't know about you, but me, I'm about to lose the babies I've never had. And like, that pains me, you know, like, I've always dreamt of having like little rascals running around. Babies are gifts from God. And then I'm just like, now they're gone. Just like that. Yo, guys, it was so it was bad. Like, I was really going through the most. Like, I couldn't, even the pain was so much that even like I couldn't process it completely. I'm just like, I don't know. At this point, I want this pain to go away first, and then we'll deal with the other, like with whatever comes next. And then at 7 o'clock, they prepped me, and then I went there. I remember sitting in the like operation room, and there's those huge lights on top of me, like, yeah. And then when they put the anesthetic, you know, so that I can sleep whilst they do their things, I remember thinking in my head, I'm not going to close my eyes. I'm going to keep my eyes open. And I was like this. I'm not going to. And then I remember just slowly closing it. Yeah. And then I was gone. And then around about midnight, after about 3 or so hours, I woke up. Well, no, actually, I didn't wake up. They were shaking me, Tracy, open your eyes, breathe. And I could not breathe. Okay, so I have asthma. And for some reason, that played a part in, like, I couldn't breathe now. And it was so painful not being able to breathe, like, my lungs. I don't know, I can't explain. And then they had to, like, put me on oxygen. And then I could breathe. And then I was fine. I was like, whew, Lord. It's like that day was just D-Day, guys. Like, I was ready to go to heaven and be with the Lord. Not that it's a bad thing, you know, it's not a bad thing, but it wasn't my time yet. So yeah, and then I go back to my room now, and then the guy now comes back and is like, Tracy, the surgery was a success. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow morning. And then I'm thinking, what in the world does this guy mean? Like, what does he mean by it was a success? Like, I'm so confused. I'm thinking, does he mean that I successfully removed my ovaries and I won't be able to have babies? How is that good news? How is that like something you'd call success? I'm just like, at this point, I'm just grappling with what this guy said. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just too tired. Like, my body was just shutting down. And then I slept. Yeah, and then I woke up the following morning, and then eventually yeah. Oh, yeah. Before I don't remember if the nurses came first or it was the doctor. No, I think the nurses came first. And guys, they had to wash me. And because I couldn't like move on myself, what do you call it? Bed washing. Like when they wash someone on the bed. It was not nice. It was not nice at all. I'm just like a little zombie there. And then they're doing the washing. I'm just like, has it come to this? Has it truly come to that? But they were such nice people. Yeah, and then eventually the doctor came and is like, yeah, the surgery was a success last night. And then he's like, actually, and then I'm like, oh boy, what's coming? It's like, actually, your ovaries are fine. There was nothing wrong with them. There was an egg in your was it in the ovaries? I don't remember, but like an egg overgrew and then it burst. So basically it was a cyst. It was an ovarian cyst. That's what was the issue. And then I'm like, so we were able to remove it and stuff like that. So yeah, you are fine, your ovaries are fine, you can have babies in the future. And then I'm just like, I was in so much pain I couldn't dance. But honestly, I was at a point where I was just like, Lord, you are so faithful. Like, you are so good. You saw me through, like, one from being my appendix, and then the next thing, my ovaries, and then them wanting to cut them off. And then now it turns out it was none of those things. It was just some egg that decided to do its own thing in there and caused me so much pain and all that. And like, I don't know, like, I'm really not like a sciencey person in that regard with biology and stuff. But in my mind, I don't know how they could have seen, like, with their machines in like ovaries that were twisted. And then when they went in there, my ovaries were not twisted. It was an egg that had overgrown. I just I just can't wrap my head around it. And the more I think about it, I'm just like, you know what? The hand of the Lord was in it. Maybe truly they were turned, but the Lord was like, nah, they're not snipping these babies off. I really don't know, but I do know that the Lord's hand was in all of it, to be honest, because sure. And then they said actually we can do surgery later this afternoon, and I was like, yep, I'm going. The catching, it was a private hospital. I'm like, hi, but this place is probably super expensive, and not even thinking about all the procedures that have been done on me. I want to go home. And later in the day, I went back to my house, and like I took about maybe 2-3 weeks to fully get to a point where I could walk on my own for a long distance without feeling pain. But at the beginning, I couldn't do anything on my own. The only thing I could do was eat. Like, I could feed myself, yes, but going to the bathroom, taking a shower, like, I had to be helped to do all that. And I just seeing how, like, my family was so far away and they couldn't do like an immediate, just fly here, just like that. It was just such a bad timing in terms of like finances and all that. And like everyone's heart was breaking apart, like, oh my goodness, but just how even in that space, the Lord raised people like in my community, church community, who were willing to take care of me in ways that even up to now, it challenged me as a person to like, am I willing to step out and help someone the way I was helped? Like, I really truly saw the love of God through just how people laid down their lives for me. Like, it's so astounding. Like, it's so beautiful. And when I think about it, I'm like, Lord, thank you. I'm thankful. And even now, it's something that has stuck with me. And it has like even been a vehicle to make me like someone who's selfless, who doesn't think like about myself that much, but actually lays down their lives for like other brothers and sisters in Christ. And it really was the hand of the Lord, and just how everything played out. I'm thankful. Like, I'm thankful to God for just how he saw me through it, and I'm thankful to God for his love through his people that he placed in my life. And I mean, the friendships that were created during this time and with everything that happened, they have stood the test of time. Like, literally, those people, even up to now, they are like my closest friends. There's just a deeper connection that was created in that, and a love for one another that was created in all of that. And so it was so amazing. I remember even like my church community sending me like a video, all of them like, hi Tracy, get well soon, because obviously I couldn't go there. It was so nice and encouraging just seeing people's faces and that they're thinking of you, and people would bring me flowers and cute little notes and everything as I was recovering at home. Even if I wanted to go like back home to my country, I couldn't, because traveling wouldn't have worked for me. I was in so much pain that even taking a ride, let alone flying, it wouldn't have worked. I would have been in extreme pain. So the Lord worked it all out for my good, although it was hard. like when I was a lot better, I ended up going to see my family and stuff like that, which was good. Yeah, it was nice. So yeah, that's that's basically my story of just how the Lord came through for me in times where and it's amazing. So I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you can be inspired how the Lord really can do amazing things in our lives, and when we least expect it. And yeah, like troubles will come. We are not promised a life without troubles. Troubles will come when you least expect them, and they come in different forms and shapes, and that's not something you can avoid. But just knowing and trusting that the Lord is with you even in that. Like I could have asked myself, like, Lord, why did I do to deserve this? Like, people who go through tough times deserve it. No, it's a broken world, and this body is like also like a broken vessel, so it is subject to suffering and pain and sickness and all that stuff, but the Lord, he can still walk with us even in that. And yeah, like we can persevere, and good character is developed through and in that. So yeah, that's my story. I hope it encourages you. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video. If you experience something like this or something similar, let me know in the comment section. Let's chat about it. That's it from me to you. Love you guys. Bye.